Hey everybody, what's going on? Now that free agency and the draft has gone by, there's plenty to dive into for this video. Before we get started for today, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's as easy as clicking in the bottom right hand corner of this video. The Montreal Canadiens made the pristine decision of selecting Ivan Demidov with the 5th overall pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. After 4 teams passed on him, you can make the case he could have went as high as 2nd overall after Macklin Celebrini to the San Jose Sharks, and Demidov now gives the Montreal Canadiens a potential superstar in their system, something that they really haven't had throughout my lifetime as a Montreal Canadiens fan in 30 years. It's just a very hopeful time for the Montreal Canadiens after adding this missing piece to the pipeline. They've been looking for that dynamic scoring winger or center for a very long time now in their pipeline, and they finally have that in Demidov. You don't want to set expectations too high, but this is a potential 80 to 90 point winger and someone that can find plenty of success in the National Hockey League. Not only is he a strong, dynamic winger, but he's not exactly small either. He hit above 6 feet at the NHL Scouting Combine when he did test in that camp in Florida. I think there's a lot of positives with this player that really make him stand out as the Montreal Canadiens' top prospect at the moment. This is the type of player that they've really just been missing. They have that defensive prospects lined up for the future in David Reinbacher, Logan Mailloux, Caden Gooley, who's already an established NHLer. And then you have other players like Lane Hudson, who showed strengths at the end of the season in his 2 game sample for the Montreal Canadiens. It just looks as though the Montreal Canadiens now have a lot of the pieces that will eventually make them a potential playoff team in the Eastern Conference, potentially in the next 2 years. I don't believe they're going to make that jump next year. What we should note is a much more competitive team with the Montreal Canadiens heading into the 2024-2025 campaign. And then when Ivan Demidov does come over in the 2025 season, you're looking at a much more dynamic team, one that has a lot of positives in their top 6 with Nick Suzuki, Juraj Slafkovsky, Cole Caulfield, Ivan Demidov, potentially Kirby Dach, assuming he can stay healthy. And then you have that other missing element in the top 6 that could potentially one day be Michael Hage, the other Montreal Canadiens prospect that they selected in the first round after moving up with the Los Angeles Kings for the 21st overall pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. Going into the year and potentially even last year, Hage was one of the top prospects in his draft class. He did slide a little bit because of some consistency issues, but that's kind of the consensus because of what he went through over the last few years with the passing of his dad and a tragic incident. So I think that drafting a player that not only grew up a big Montreal Canadiens fan, but one that has the offensive potential that Hage does is a very positive move for the Montreal Canadiens. It's hard to say they could have hit a bigger home run than they did in round 1, but this is where the Montreal Canadiens stand right now, and they added 2 really dynamic pieces to their system that they've been lacking in a lot of ways. It's hard to really find any negatives with either of those selections, so I think it's really only positives that are stemming from that 2024 NHL draft class. And then for free agency, it made sense that the Montreal Canadiens stood pat. They didn't really make any moves besides signing Alexander Barboulay to a 1 year contract. I think that the biggest deal of the day for the Montreal Canadiens was extending Juraj Slafkovsky to an 8 year deal at just under $7.6 million. I think that this is the type of deal that's really going to age well for the Montreal Canadiens. Slafkovsky really showed in the back half of last season what the potential he can do for this Montreal Canadiens is down the road. I think that he's going to continue growing next season. And once he really starts to fill out his frame and realize how big he is on the ice, you're going to see a really dynamic power forward in the NHL, someone that could potentially score 30 goals and add 50 assists on an annual basis. And that's really exciting for Montreal Canadiens fans. I think that this was a really positive last 2 weeks for the Montreal Canadiens, and I do believe that there's still the possibility that they add a top 6 scoring winger between now and when training camp does open up. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on the Montreal Canadiens 2024 draft class, along with your thoughts on the Juraj Slafkovsky extension. This will likely be my last video for a little bit until the Montreal Canadiens make more news this summer. Leading up to training camp, there will be plenty of previews on this channel along with other things Montreal Canadiens as well. But for now, I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.